You guys ready? All right. For Tuesday, March 23rd, Dunk of the Day goes to Leonard Larry McKelvey, aka Charlamagne the God. Now, this Dunk of the Day is long overdue because when it comes to Charlamagne's infinity for anything Marvel Comics, it leads him to have zero objectivity when it comes to other superheroes in the comic book realms. Now, this past Thursday, Zack Snyder was able to release his version of Justice League. Here's a quick backstory on why the movie differs from that atrocity that was released in 2017. Snyder leaving the project was due to a death in his family. Speaking of which, we want to send our condolences to the Snyder family and a rest in peace to Autumn Snyder, his daughter. The original plan was for this version of Justice League to be a two-part movie to be released in 2016 or 2017. Part 1 would have had an accurate backstory on Arthur Curry, aka Aquaman, Barry Allen, aka The Flash, and Victor Stone, aka Cyborg. Also, not to mention that it would have been in a digestible format, so you will be ready to watch Part 2 of Zack Snyder's Justice League. But glory to God, that's why erasers are essential, because now we can delete that 2017 piece of crap of a film and replace it with the integrity of Zack Snyder's brainchild. Now that you guys have that little tidbit, let's get back to Charlamagne. At every single corner, Charlamagne will go out his way to bash anything DC comic related. I always scratch my head and wonder, why would he do such a thing? Because I started listening to Charlamagne regularly when the now first ballot Radio Hall of Fame morning show, The Breakfast Club, was syndicated in Houston. That eventually led me to listen to his podcast, The Brilliant Idiots, with his co-host, Andrew Schultz. That means for the past 7 to 8 years, Charlamagne has been part of my life in some way, shape, or form. That's not a bad thing, because when someone, or in this case him, says something intriguingly positive or negative, if I made that word up, you know I do. Sorry about that. I'm always going to remember that quote. After all, it sticks out just like Charlamagne's headline when he doesn't go to the barbershop. I wouldn't miss those appointments if I was you, my brother. Charlamagne made it clear that his plans for the past weekend included watching Zack Snyder's Justice League. He stated 2 times that he is not a fan of DC Comics. And of course, in the back of my head, I asked myself, why do you have to qualify yourself by making that statement? Right there lets me know that he lacks objectivity, and he is going to this weekend watching a movie with his mind made up. Of course, Charlamagne will deny these allegations, but he shot himself in the foot by stating he lacks fandom for DC Comics. But guess what, ladies and gentlemen? That is ideally within his rights not to be a fan of DC Comics. The issue at hand is coming to the point where he goes out his way to bash a solidified comic book brand that is DC Comics. That kind of reminds me back in the day when he went out his way to hate on Aubrey Graham, aka Dre. Something tells me that he needs to increase his time with the therapist every Friday at 3 o'clock p.m., as he so eloquently stated. Yesterday morning, Monday, March 22nd, Charlamagne opened up the Breakfast Club by stating that he watched Zack Snyder's Justice League twice and said, well, here's the audio.
I watched Justice League, the Snyder cut, twice this weekend just to make sure it was as whack as I thought it was the first time I watched it.
That alone warrants Donkey of the Day. But he didn't stop there. During this segment of Get It Off Your Chest, a caller called in, and this is what happened.
Hello, get it off your chest.
Yeah, this is Shannon from Indianapolis.
What's up, bro? Get it off your chest.
I had to talk about Charlamagne, man. Why'd you disrespect the Snyder cut? That was so much better than the original.
That don't mean it was good.
It was definitely so much better and definitely good.
Man, the last...
He had more background story.
Listen.
He had the Flash's background story, Cyborg's background story.
That was cool, but
much better.
that was cool. The last hour was good, but let me tell you something. The Martian Manhunter scenes was so whack. That was so pointless. You mean to tell me that you...
Cool.
Man, listen, you say it's cool, but where was he during the fight? What was he doing in the fight? You just gonna show up and tell Lois Lane what she need to do, and then show up at the end and tell Batman, "I want to join the Justice League." You missed the fight.
I
Did
agree
Superman
about that
come
part,
too?
but
Was Superman there?
But I mean, it was cool to see Superman in the black suit, Darkseid in there. Come on, it set up a
Superman
whole
wore a black suit?
I like the last hour was decent.
All right, guys.
Other than that, it was just too long and it was just too messy. I'm just not a fan of DC.
Have a good one, sir.
As Charlamagne's overworked and underpaid therapist always says, let's unpack this. Let's start with John Johns, aka Martian Manhunter. It came as a surprise that Martian Manhunter will make a cameo in Zack Snyder's Justice League. Before the movie was released, we were under the impression that the Martian Manhunter will come in as a post-credit cameo. But to our surprise, he came in during Part 4's Change Machine. One of Martian Manhunter's abilities is to shapeshift into any living being. When he visited Lois Lane, he is in disguise as Martha Kent, Superman's adopted earthly mother. Once their encounter concluded, Martian Manhunter shifted into his original form before he went into Calvin Swanwick, a former military official and now a senator played by actor Harry Lennox. Now, in case you guys don't remember who Harry Lennox is, go watch The Matrix Reloaded. That was Jada Pinkett Smith's love interest before she switched teams and got with Morpheus. And now that I think about it, that was tasteless. Jada, my bad. I didn't mean to do that on purpose. Not on purpose. That was my fault. That just came out wrong. Sorry to the Pinkett Smith family. Moving on. That means John has been on Earth for a long extended period. But how long will be detailed in future sequels. Martian Manhunter appears again during the epilogue, Father Twice Over. He reveals to Bruce Wayne that as long as the anti-life equation is on Earth, Darkseid will return. Not to mention that John also has a stake on this planet, which Zack Snyder will also be exploring in the future movies. The sad part about this is Marvel Comics is guilty of doing the same thing that Charlamagne accuses DC Comics of doing. He never brings that up. I wonder why. If I were Charlamagne, I would shut the F up forever regarding anything DC Comics related. I say that because he exposes his faithful, threatened feelings by the dominance that is DC Comics. How did I come to this conclusion? That's easy. Competitors typically talk down on other competitors to gain some form of competitive advantage. Say that 3 times over real fast. Well, here is the problem with that. When I got hired with the staffing agency a long time ago, the key thing they taught me was to never bash the competition because there is no competition. Let me say that again for the Charlamagnes of the world who is getting up there in age and got to squint their eyes just so they can hear better. Never bash the competition because there is no competition. Now, Charlamagne's probably saying that's bullshit. Well, case in point, the Joe Budden podcast has taken many shots at Charlamagne-related items or accomplishments, whether it be his 51% stake in the Black Effect Network or the Brilliant Idiots. Matter of fact, recently, Maul, one of Joe Budden's podcast co-hosts, took an unwarranted and unnecessary shot at the Breakfast Club. Now, before Charlamagne and his team say they didn't hear anything in regards to what Maul has noted, be advised that I don't believe you. None of y'all. Not only did you and your team listen to it, but you also elected not to respond to it because although Joe has a successful podcast and a growing podcast network, they're not on the same level as the Breakfast Club. We all know this. Which means there is no competition. So Charlamagne, why don't you transfer that form of energy when it comes to Marvel versus DC Comics in your mind? That way, you won't come off as a hater, you won't come off as a character of yourself, and you won't come off as ugly like that Wolverine tattoo that is on your arm. And please find that tattoo artist and get your money back if you haven't already. So with that being said, please give Charlamagne the God the biggest hee-haw. Matter of fact, his take on Zack Snyder's Justice League was so outlandish and doesn't hold water. Let Remy Ma give Charlamagne the God the biggest hee-haw.
Hee-haw, hee-haw. You stupid motherfucker. Are you dumb?
Now, some of y'all gonna think I'm a very hurtful person. That's very far from the truth. Just want to throw that out there. Although I meant what I said and I said what I mean, I'm still gonna wake up every morning to listen to the Breakfast Club. I'm still gonna wait till the end of the week for him and Shows to release their podcast. And once he releases his book, if he's working on it now, I am going to buy a copy and I'm going to be one of the first people in line to get him to sign it on a meet and greet, because I went to his first 2 meet and greets. First one took too damn long. Second one, I was able to get there early enough so I could sign it and get out. So, to show you guys I'm a nice guy, please give Charlamagne God the sweet sounds of the hammer tones.
You are the donkey of the day.